What's up, YouTube? Fantar here to talk about Bungou Stray Dogs episode 16 review. Now, this episode came out a day later after the last one. Like, episode 16 is on Crunchyroll right now, and it came out the next day. I was like, whoa, what the heck? That was pretty fast. But whatever, more Bungou Stray Dogs for me, which I absolutely love. Now, with this episode, you start off the scene, you have a pretty intense meeting between the Special Ops and the leader of the Port Mafia. You have a character named Chief Tanada, and then you have the guy, the leader of the Port Mafia. And basically, this scene's pretty damn intense. You even have Ango, who's the mediator between the two, and he's sweating all bullets and stuff like that. So you can tell there's some bad blood between these two. So they speak about terms. The Special Division leader is giving out terms that they want the Port Mafia to carry out. They want them to leave Ango alone, and they want them to get rid of Mimic. But then the Port Mafia leader, Ogai, is like, wait a minute, I need something more than this, you know. Give me some conditions, you know. Give me an offer that I can't refuse, basically. But then the scene cuts. And with this rest of this episode, you really get some good characterization between Dazai and Oda. Because especially what Oda had just gone through. In the next scene, you have Oda who's reminiscing about his kids that he had lost, the orphans. He's looking at the scene, you know, there's flames going up, and then you have Dazai who doesn't want him to do anything reckless. And then Oda seems really down about himself, and he starts to walk off. And then Dazai spills out his guts, so to say. He opens up a lot more, probably the most I've ever seen him open up to a character, as far as I can remember in this series. He tells him the reason why he joined the Port Mafia, and I'm like, okay, let's hear it, man, let's hear it. Your mystery is like more interesting than any other mystery in this series. So he tells him, I wanted to find a reason to living. I felt that if I can put myself next to something raw emotion with killing, and something next to a business where it shows a man's true character, that I would find a reason for living. And it seems to me that he hasn't found that. And what I like about this series here is that, especially this flashback, with this flashback, I was expecting there to be like an info dump on Dazai, and there hasn't been. This flashback is giving us little bits and pieces of Dazai's backstory. So it's like he was already struggling with life before he joined the criminal organization. And that just gets me more intrigued. It's like we just got a little piece of the puzzle on Dazai's character. What happened to him in his life that caused him to question him living in this world? Why does he need to find a purpose for him to live? Did something happen to him in his past with his parents? Did he kill someone? And so he gives out this little like dialogue speech to Oda. He's trying to appease to his humanity, trying to get him not to do something stupid. So, and then Oda, he tells him like, oh, I wanted to be a writer, and the reason why I didn't want to kill anymore is because I don't feel I would be worthy as a writer if I got my hands dirty anymore. That's why I decided not to kill anymore. And I'm like, okay, wow. So it's like their reasons are so simple yet so like deep. It's like you can delve into that more just on that little pieces of dialogue that they gave. Because to him, to Oda, it seems to me a writer has to be not necessarily pure, but like forgiven of sin, so to say. That's what he thinks what a writer should be, and that's how he felt he needed to be if he ever wanted to be a writer. That's why he didn't want to take another life anymore. Well, that gets thrown out the window. He's not going to be a writer anymore because he goes off and he walks away and he goes and does a killing spree on Mimic. And that's exactly what Mimic wanted. They killed the orphans and they gave him a map of their location, and he goes off and he just shoots everyone down. But before that, we get a little cameo of him running into Rampo, the previous character from the first season, the one who was like OP with his glasses and he could solve every other mystery. I didn't necessarily like his power because I'm like, it felt kind of convenient, even though it's not necessarily a power. It's him using a power like of observation, so to say, and doing the odds on favor on what is the most likely scenario to occur in a detective case, in a case that isn't solved. I always thought he was a little overpowered and a bit convenient, and he's one of my least favorite characters as far as powers go. I like his character overall, but he tells Oda, don't go down this path because you will basically die. And Oda tells him, I know. And that right there, you just know that Oda is just prepared to go out on the limb. He's able to, he's giving up his life right there. He's going to go out and he's going to take Mimic out. He's giving what Mimic wanted in the first place, which is for them to die in a battle. So you see them there, and they're going out and they're battling. And then you get Oda versus Jeed. Now, Jeed, he apologizes for killing the orphans when he faces off with Oda. And first I was like, even now, I'm still thinking, I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get more in-depth characterization with Jeed, and I was expecting him to be a little more remorseful for killing orphans. It just seemed like he didn't seem like the type of character that would do that in the first place. I'm not so sure if the manga delved into that more so or the anime rushed this, but I was expecting more from Jeed. I was expecting him to be a little more maybe sorry or maybe regretful about killing orphans, because he seemed to me like he was a better guy than that. I wasn't even expecting him to be the one that killed the orphans in my previous review. But here in this episode, you find out that Jeed only had part of the orphan's death. You got fucking Dazai speaking to the leader of the Port Mafia. And it turns out the Port Mafia played everyone. They played the special ops, they played Oda, they played Mimic. They didn't really play Mimic because Mimic wanted this in the first place. I don't think Mimic cared about being played around with. But it turns out what that previous meeting was with the special ops was them getting permission to be a gifted, for them to be a gifted company, for them to basically get rid of all their crimes and kind of ignore it. And it kind of felt like what happens when a pirate becomes a shibukai with the government. That's what that's the kind of vibes I was getting off of this, off of that scene. So then Dazai is able to put two and two together. He gets like, oh, so you guys were the ones that brought Mimic in. You guys were the one that told Mimic about Oda's orphans so that they can kill them, and then Oda would go and sacrifice his life, killing Mimic in the process. And then while you kill Mimic, the special ops team is happy that they killed Mimic, and then they can give you this permission slip so you guys can no longer be watched over or abided by law. And I'm just like, man, that's just like, Oda got played. He basically got betrayed by the Port Mafia leader, and everyone gets played. And I have a feeling that Oda I think he knows that he's been played. I don't think that he's stupid enough to think that Mimic was the only hand involved in his kid's death. But I don't think he cares anymore. The fact that his children died, he gave up on life anymore, and I think he realized how much of a cruel world this is. You have then you continue on with Dazai, arguing with the Port Mafia or just speaking with the Port Mafia. And he's about to leave, and he tells the Port Mafia, listen, I think he's like, I understand what you did, but like my reasons for going over to Oda may not have any logic, but he's still my friend. So then the Port Mafia leader basically lets him go. And the next scene, you find Oda fighting Jeed, and they're both dead. And by the way, that fight scene was pretty damn epic, man. With them being able to tell the future, it's pretty cool how they talk amongst each other and how their characters interact. Like, for fucking instance, with this scene of the fight scene, you got Oda talking about this author. Who the hell is this author? Actually, I wrote down his name. What was his name? Natsume Soseki. This guy gave him a book, and he tore out the last parts of the pages so that he can write the rest of it. And apparently, Oda believes that this author, whoever gave him the book, probably figured out that he was a hired gun in the first place, and he wanted to save him from killing ever again. And I'm just thinking, who the heck is this guy? We have to find out more about this author. They cannot just leave that alone, because they kept this guy in silhouette the whole time. We have his name, we don't know what he looks like, and he's someone that wanted to help Oda. He wanted to help him from being a hitman. And then you have Jeed in this very fight scene talking about him being a war hero and how he was betrayed by his own country, and how he was basically, him and his army, the ones that survived, lost their honor and their identity, and were basically ghosts of war and looking for another war or another fight so they can be defeated in. But again, I wasn't so sure if that is enough reason for Jeed to just go off and kill orphans. I needed more. I wanted more screen time for Jeed, and I didn't feel like I got that. I felt like this was rushed with Jeed's character, and I really liked his character, and it was very interesting. That's my only critique of this episode. But after that, they both die. They're dead, or they both shot down, and you have Dazai coming down to Oda, and Oda tells him, listen, I know you've been looking for a reason to live, And in my opinion, neither side, whether you're saving or whether you're killing, doesn't give you a reason to live. They're both the same. You might as well be on the guys who save lives, because they're at least feel like a better man. You're at least a little better. Because in my opinion, if you're doing something, any hobby or any, ambition, if you're doing that reason just to find a reason to live, then you shouldn't be doing that at all, because the only thing that can give you reason to live is yourself. That comes from within, and I think that's what Oda realized, and that's what Dazai realized towards the end of this episode. Man, this whole episode had so many things, so much information, and so much good action and characterization, that it weighs down with this flashback, how great this flashback was. But it still keeps us in mystery on Dazai's character. There are so many things still to talk about, and they're going to continue on with the next couple episodes, because after that, Dazai did the transformation. He left the Port Mafia, and he was looking for another job. And he talks to the leader of the Special Ops Division, and he gives him the heads up about a detective agency. Then it cuts to there, and then it's going to fast forward 4 years later in the next episode. I love this flashback on Dazai. Oda, Ango too, he was good. I wish we had more Ango though, but hopefully we will in this coming season. Ango, Oda, Dazai, great characters, man. I love this flashback. So much mystery. I think there's still so much content we can get off of this series, and I can't wait for the next couple of episodes. As far as this review goes, I'm going to give this episode a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and the reason why it's a 4.5 is because I just felt like Jeet's character needed more screen time, and I needed more from him. I just felt like it was kind of out of character for him to kill orphans, and then him just to say, oh, I'm sorry, but maybe they did it better than the manga. I gotta go check that out. Hope you guys liked the review. Fantart, out.